What's up, guys? It's Double Brim here, back with another NBA reaction video, and today was an amazing day of NBA basketball. And it was kind of funny because there was something else I wanted to do tonight, right? And I made the executive decision not to do it because there was a lot of NBA games I wanted to watch. And I'm glad I made that decision, honestly, because this has been an amazing night of basketball. Um, just such an amazing day, man. Such a great day. So many great games. Man, I feel like some of these weekdays are always so great. Anyways, so first off, I watched the Celtics Cavs game. I watched the Jazz Mavericks game. I watched the Grizzlies Blazer game. And then I also watched the Laker game, right? Or at least the final few minutes of the Laker game, and then also overtime. So that'll tell you what you need to know about today. There was two overtime games with a lot of close games, right? So first off, Celtics versus Cavs. The flow of the game, it was a very typical NBA game, right? A run by one team to make a big lead, then a run by another team to make a big lead, and then it kind of condensed in the fourth quarter to be a very close fourth quarter, and then that game was sent into overtime and the Cavaliers pulled it out in OT behind some huge clutch shots by Donovan Mitchell and by honestly some questionable calls that went against the Celtics. I will say I'm not one to blame the refs because that's a part, especially of the regular season, where sometimes it's not your night with the refs. Like sometimes a lot of the calls just go against your way, but that just happens in like a such a large sample size. It's just variance, similar to 3-point shooting in certain circumstances. And, I got to say, the Celtics defense looked really good. Obviously, without Robert Williams, it's going to struggle. Um, but I felt like the Celtics played good enough to win. They just left a lot of shots on the table, had a few bad calls that went against their way, and then Mitchell hit some really tough shots that he hasn't really been hitting the last few years on the Jazz. So even though they lost, I felt really good about them. It was the first time I've watched the Celtics this season. So I felt like they looked just as good as last year and are playing great. Tatum had an amazing final few. So this is kind of the most controversial part of the game in my opinion. So at the very end of the game, it's like 112 to 114, and the Cavs have the lead. And then the Celtics get on a fast break, and Tatum gets this super big slam to tie the game, right? And he was fouled on the slam. Like, it was a super clear foul, and that would have gave him the and one. And after the slam, it was already a tie game, and there was only like 20 seconds left. So that and one would have put them up one potentially if Tatum made it. And they didn't call it. Now it's a tie game. The Celtics have an amazing defensive possession. Tatum blocks Donovan Mitchell's shot, and it goes to overtime. So that was kind of the most controversial call, at least that I remember. It was a few hours ago now, but that was the one call, especially I think. Tough break for the Celtics, but hey, it happens. It's a long season. But the Celtics look great. Cavaliers looked really awesome. They're obviously, I think they're 5-1 or 6-1, so they're playing great basketball. And it's kind of interesting because in my NBA preview video, I said they might be like the 7th seed or 6th seed. And like I understood in my head that they could be a top seed. But I would have thought that the Celtics would be better, that the Sixers would be better, that the Bucks would be better. And I thought the Brooklyn Nets would be better too. I mean, come on. The Brooklyn Nets are really good. And then also the Heat, who've just been a machine the last few years. So it's just kind of tough to seed these teams. But yeah, the Cavs look like they'll be a top 3 seed at this point in the season. And in my future 20-game NBA review, I'll re-update my predictions on the seeding and who will win the championship and things of that nature. So that was the Cavs game. Pretty great standard NBA game. Had some close. Also Jaylen Brown took a really tough shot on the last possession in the game, and I just didn't think it was a great inbound play and a great inbound situation. Like, they gave it to Jaylen Brown, who was trying to ISO on Dean Wade, and yeah, sure, Dean Wade's a white guy, so I know a lot of they're not usually as good at defense, but he's a really tall, long guy, right? And shooting over, like Jaylen Brown took this fadeaway mid-range on the right elbow over like a 6'11" guy. So that's just a tough shot to make. I just didn't like the call there by the Celtics head coach. But the Cavs, on the Cavs side, Donovan Mitchell played great. Like I said, Garland, this was his first game back after getting an eye injury, and he played really good. He made some tough shots and played really great. And obviously, they're tough to score on with Mobley and Jared Allen in the center. So yeah, really fun game, really great game. Now the next game I watched a lot of the Jazz. The Jazz Mavericks game. And the Jazz, came out looking like they have been the last few games, sharing the ball, everyone's scoring, looking great. And then the Mavericks, starting in the third quarter, really starting in the second quarter, honestly, really started to tighten down their defense because they got to get this win. They're 3-3. They don't want to fall to, below 500. And it's so early in the season that, you don't want to start off like that. And the Jazz were 6-3, so they're probably a little more willing to give up a win. But anyways, so yeah, the Mavericks defense really tightened down and kind of stymied what the Jazz were doing. Lauri Markkanen kind of had an off game, wasn't shooting the ball super great. But I'll give credit to the Mavs defense, and then obviously it was just Luka ball. Luka was being amazing, had 33 points, and then Spencer Dinwiddie in the fourth quarter because it was. The Jazz came out to like a 10, 20 point lead, right? Like they had a big lead early on in the game. And then starting the third quarter, they also took another 10 plus point lead. But then the Mavs came back, fought back. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a really close game, like the Cavs Celtics game. So a lot of really close fourth quarter games today. And, Luka played great. Spencer Dinwiddie hit like 2 or 3 really clutch threes to like keep the game close, tie the game, put them up, expand the lead. And that was kind of the difference in the game. I feel like Spencer Dinwiddie's big threes and then the Mavericks lockdown defense were the biggest reason they won the game. And obviously Luka, who has had a 30-point game in every single game this season, which is actually crazy. And this is kind of my take, though, on the Mavericks. I said in a previous video, but the Mavericks just look like those early Cavaliers 2000s LeBron teams. Like a lot of, like LeBron was too important to their team, similarly to how Luka is too important to this team. Like they need to be able to win without Luka, and Luka, I feel like, expends too much energy each game just to keep them afloat, to keep them in these games. And I really think they need to surround him with some more talent. But anyways, another great game, and then obviously had to watch the whole Grizzlies-Blazer game. Dame's out, Jaren Jackson's obviously out for the Grizzlies, but Damian Lillard's out. But this team is a really great team. This Blazers team really they battle a lot, right? They battle a lot. So I was really impressed with their effort, always these days. I thought they really could win the game because if we go back to last season, the Blazers had this 4-0 stretch after the All-Star break, after they traded CJ McCollum, where they won 4 games in a row against all good teams. Like they beat the Bucks, the Grizzlies, like they came back from like a 25-point deficit against the Knicks. And they beat the Lakers, obviously, in that stretch as well. And maybe not all good teams, but no bad teams, right? All those teams were decent, like mediocre teams. So that stretch, they also beat the Grizzlies. And this was pretty much the same team as that beat the Grizzlies. So I was pretty confident. And, we fought, we battled. We played great defense. In the first half, we shut down, which is so strange as a Blazer fan to watch. But the first quarter, we played evenly like the entire game. Like it was a super close game. But the first quarter, there was a few points that the refs and situations that happened that gave the Grizzlies some extra points. So the Grizzlies won the first quarter 30-23, right? But it really should have been like 25-25 because there were some bad calls, I thought, and some easy Blazers like layups that they missed. So that was kind of a struggle, but you can't really blame that because they fought the whole game. Memphis kind of had a lead the whole game, maybe by like 10 points or so for most of it. And then the fourth quarter, Desmond Bane hits like 3 threes in a row, and it's like great. All right, that's the game. But this is the Blazers, baby. And if you watch enough Blazer basketball, you know we love to take huge deficits in the fourth quarter and just come back to make the game interesting, right? So that's what happened. Anthony Simons went off. He had 31. Um, and our team just started locking up, getting stops and getting threes, getting buckets in transition, getting to the line, and we came back in the game, but just couldn't close it out. But hey, you know it happens. It happens. It's a long regular season. The Blazers already won a lot of close games with some big shots by Dame and Anthony Simons and stuff. So you can't be too mad about it. It was a super fun game, and I was really impressed with the effort from the Blazers. Now, just to kind of talk about the performers, Yusuf Nurkic had 3 threes, which is a career high. That was super funny to watch. Anthony Simons had 30 plus points. He was doing work down the stretch. Josh Hart played with that same intensity. You always love. Played super great. And then, yeah, they got some good minutes from Keon Johnson too, who hit some big threes. Like it was just a really classic, Blazer game. Like when we're talking about this Blazer team, right? They just have they're really good at defense because they have a lot of athletic guys, right? Keon Johnson, if you don't know who he is, he's a super athletic, like 6'5" long guy, right? They got Nazir Little, who's kind of a similar guy, super athletic, 6'5" long defender. They also got Drew Eubanks, who I was really impressed by, and I've really been impressed by this season because he's actually not getting killed on switches, right? He can actually defend switches pretty well, and that is like probably one of the biggest skill sets a center needs in the modern NBA. We got Justice Winslow, who's another wing. We got Shaden Sharp, who's a super athletic 6'5" guy. We got Jeremy Grant, who's a super athletic 6'8" guy. We got Josh Hart, who's a super athletic 6'5" guy. We got Simons, who's a super athletic 6'5" guy. Like, we have so many long, like 6'5" to 6'8" guys on this team, and we can really switch a lot and cause trouble for, especially a guy like John Morant, who relies on his athleticism. And when he doesn't have that advantage, it kind of, can make it troublesome for him. So he didn't really have that great of a game, scoring wise, right? But he still played solid. Got to give credit to the Grizzlies. They played their classic Grizzly ball. Ball movement, making open shots, playing tough defense. Like, it was just such an evenly matched game, and both teams had such similar play styles. It was just super fun to watch. And yeah, man, this Blazer team just gives me so much hope, man. We're playing great. But now to talk about the last few minutes of this Lakers Pelicans game. So I came in with about 2 minutes left in regulation, right? And it was insane. So it was tied at that point. And from what I remember, I know it just happened, but there's so much things I'm thinking about, so many games I watch, it's kind of hard to keep them all on track. But from what it was like a tie game when I started watching, and then the Pelicans went on a little run. And it was like 110 to like 107 or something. I don't remember the exact score, but last possession of the game, right? It's late. Okay, so there was a 3-point game. Lakers fouled a Pelicans player, right? The Pelicans player, I don't know who it was. I think it might have been Trey Murphy or Najee Marshall. They look kind of similar, but I just don't remember who it was. But Trey Murphy or Najee, I'm guessing it was Najee Marshall, because Trey Murphy's a really great free throw shooter. But anyways, Pelicans player was on the free throw line. They're up 3, right? LeBron had Lonnie Walker had just missed a wide open three to tie the game. Foul the Pelicans. There's like 1 second left. Miss both free throws. Call timeout. Austin Reeves has this full like width of the length. So he passes it from the left side out of bounds to the right corner over everyone. And guess who catches it? The Indianapolis Colts quarterback, Matt fucking Ryan, catches it, fading away in the corner with a defender draped all over him. Lets it go, and it ties the game. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. It was an amazing shot, and sends it to overtime. And then, right in overtime, what happens? Lonnie Walker hits a big 3 to put him up 3. And usually in overtime, whoever hits the first shot kind of gains so much momentum. it's like kind of tough to come back from that, right? Because like there's only a few minutes left, and you're already super tired and now you got to play 5 extra minutes, and then this guy just hit a three in their face, and then the Lakers just didn't look back from there. You know, Lonnie Walker hit a three, Zion Williamson missed a bunch of bunnies that he can make, and that just really sealed the game. Also, to talk about the end of regulation, you know, I don't want to poo-poo it too much, but LeBron, you know, the Lakers were down 1 point, and you know, LeBron shot this turnaround fadeaway from the baseline, and you know he can make that shot, but I don't feel too confident when LeBron is taking a shot like that to tie or win the game, or just in general. He's just not a great mid-range shooter. Even though he's a great player, that's just not something that he's elite at, right? So the Lakers were down one. LeBron takes a shot, and you know, they foul. The Pelicans make both free throws. Then Lonnie Walker misses a wide open three. The Pelicans miss both free throws, and then Matt Ryan hits that three. So, yeah, it was a crazy sequence. You know, the last like 30 seconds of an NBA game can have a lot happen in it. But yeah, great game. Zion Williamson was like a man amongst boys, obviously. Also, I didn't watch this, but I heard that Brandon Ingram got hurt, and he, you know, from what I hear, I'm actually going to see if they have a video of it right now because I want to react to this in live time. So Brandon Ingram got hurt in this game, and you know, yeah, I don't know if I can find it quick enough. But from what I also was like reading on like threads and stuff, like game threads about the game, um, it might have been a dirty Pat Beverly play, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to watch it. But yeah, Brandon Ingram got hurt, so like in the third or fourth quarter. So that was unfortunate. But hey, the Lakers won, got their second win. Good for them. So pretty fun game. Pretty great day in the NBA. I mean, all the games I watched were all super close. So you know that's always a fun time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Double rim out.